Thank you. And now we cross to London, where brilliant writer and thinker Brendan O'Neill joins us. Brendan, please tell us, why are football fans booing players taking a knee? Let's have a quick look at some of the footage. Are they a pack of wild racists, or is there something else motivating that reaction?
Well, if you listen to the media here, they're all just racist scumbags. I mean, that's the narrative that's being pushed. But these fans, who are mainly fans of Millwall, which is a famous London team, I think they're just sick and tired of football having been hijacked by the Black Lives Matter ideology. And we have to remind ourselves, booing Black Lives Matter is not the same as booing black people. Black Lives Matter is an ideological movement. It's a divisive movement. It's anti-family. It's anti-police. It pushes critical race theory, which essentially says all white people are racist and all black people are victims. This is an ideology that people are perfectly entitled, and in my view, quite wise, to oppose. And I think what those booing fans were essentially saying is, stop hijacking our beautiful game with your ugly politics and let us just watch the football.
Absolutely. Now, for months, we've had sporting competitions throughout the world, including soccer authorities and the media and sports broadcasters, all go out of their way to inject this BLM agenda into sporting events. Do they not understand that their activism and their political views and ideology is not shared by the masses?
Well, I think they really don't understand that. I think the arrogance of the woke elites is now through the roof to such an extent that they think everyone must conform to their way of thinking. And I think that's what really explains the reaction to the Millwall fans who booed taking the knee. The reaction was absolutely hysterical from the media, from the chattering classes, because they cannot abide the thought that there are people out there who disagree with them. They cannot accept that, and they want to force everyone, well, to take the knee, to bow down to the politics of identity. But, you're right. The question on lots of fans' minds is, why are British footballers still taking the knee over a killing that happened 7 months ago, 4,000 miles away from the UK? That's a perfectly legitimate question for people to ask. And I think this incident, even though it's quite minor in the scheme of things, it's really illustrated just how much of a divide there is now between the right-on elites and ordinary people. And I think that divide is going to get larger and larger.
Well, absolutely, because we've seen BLM really become entrenched in so much that we see. And it's not just in the sporting world and in amongst celebrities and in the media and academia, but even amongst the police. We saw when those BLM protesters were rampaging in some instances during a pandemic, that some members of the police over there took a knee for them. And then we see the reaction to how the police treat those who are protesting against the lockdown. A very different approach. No understanding, no respect. They're going in hard and making maximum number of arrests. So has BLM really taken a hold in the UK from everywhere from universities to the police force?
Yeah, definitely. Within the establishment, it really has. And as you say, the police essentially support BLM, the university system, of course, the celebrity set, most of the political elite, the media, the sports industry. I mean, everyone. You can't turn on your TV here without seeing some kind of Black Lives Matter statement or performance. The Vicar of Dibley, which is a very well-known British sitcom starring Dawn French, apparently the Christmas special is going to involve the vicar taking the knee and giving a sermon about Black Lives Matter, which I think really sums up the BBC. In fact, they're literally going to give a sermon to the masses about Black Lives Matter and the importance of this new ideology. It's become this all-encompassing modern-day cult. And the fact that people are pushing back against it and saying we must have the right to criticize this ideology, we must have the right to put forward our own point of view, we must have the right to criticize the identity agenda more broadly and to suggest that it's quite divisive, people, I think, are right to say that. They're right to do that. And the sooner the woke establishment realizes that not everyone agrees with it, the better politics might be.
I thought The Vicar of Dibley was supposed to be a comedy. I mean, where's the comedy in that? I mean, I cannot think of anything more painful to be watching, my goodness. But there is a crazy irony, isn't there, Brendan, that the critical race theory that so many sporting codes and athletes are embracing is in itself not only divisive but quite racist.
I think that's right. And, this is one of the great tragedies with the way that football in particular in the UK has been taken over by this critical race theory over the past few months. There used to be a very serious problem of racism in British football in the 70s and 80s. Black players got a lot of flack from some fans, but that problem has really been overcome. British football is a great success story when it comes to challenging racism. 30% of professional players are black. Kids worship them, fans cheer them all the time. Fans from all backgrounds come together to watch games. And now, over the past 6 or 7 months, that's all been undermined by the injection of this very divisive new ideology, which I think is a form of racism. This is neo-racism, encouraging people to think racially all the time, to judge people by the color of their skin, to think of yourself as a white person or a black person. It's bringing racial thinking back to life. And that's the last thing football needs. That's the last thing public life more broadly needs. And these Millwall fans, I think, with their quite simple booing noise, probably spoke for a lot of people in this country.
Oh, absolutely. And it was the first chance the fans had to react. It was the first weekend that fans were allowed back into stadiums. Now, BLM, you're quite right, has not been great for race relations. Even The Guardian reported that the majority of Brits believe that Black Lives Matter, the movement, has increased racial tensions in the country. But why are the media, Brendan, so dishonest about this group and its motivations? Its co-founders are quite open that they're neo-Marxist and they've got political aims, including dismantling capitalism, the nuclear family. They want to defund the police. They say what they stand for, but the media present them as just some equality or anti-racism movement.
There is a huge amount of dishonesty, and I think it's because supporting Black Lives Matter is really the way in which you indicate that you're a good person, that you are an acceptable member of the woke establishment, that you have all the right opinions. It's become a very powerful form of virtue signaling, of signaling to the world that you're on the right side of the argument. And so there's huge pressure on people to conform to this ideology, to prove that they are a decent person. That's really what's happening here. It's very religious in that sense. But I think a lot of ordinary people are sick and tired of the racialization of everything in society, and they're sick and tired of constantly being called racist. If you criticize Black Lives Matter, you're racist. If you ask why British footballers are still taking the knee, you're racist. Of course, if you voted for Brexit, you're racist. If you criticize Meghan Markle, you're racist. I mean, the chattering class's response to every challenge to their politics of identity is simply to turn around and accuse people of being racist. That's a really low form of politics. That's not a good way to conduct public debate. And I think what people are actually crying out for is sensible discussion about the problems facing society, rather than these constant woke witch hunts of anyone who doesn't share the establishment's view.
Absolutely. Brendan O'Neill, thank you so much for joining us tonight.
Thanks, Rita.